Welcome to Business Talk Sister Talk. I'm Becca.
And I'm Ruthie.
And today's episode is How to Start a Videography Business, Part 1. Today we have a guest that we're super excited about. His name is Noah, and he is going to be talking to us about some things. Tell us what you do, Noah.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I guess basically what I do is I make videos for a living. That's the short of it. Yeah.
The short. What's the long of it? What's your business name? And give yourself a little plug.
Sure. So my name's Noah. I run a small video production company called 218 Visuals. It's based out of Duluth. Therefore, the 218 part of it. Primarily, what I do in the video sphere is I film weddings. So that's probably about 70% of the kind of videos that I shoot is it's weddings, more weddings. And then intermixed kind of in the winter and just randomly throughout the year, I do just some other promotional stuff, sort of some subcontracting with like real estate companies and sort of different creative aspects with different companies locally. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So Noah and I know each other we've known each other for a couple of years now, and I love seeing all of your stuff on Instagram and stuff like that. I love liking it, sharing it, telling my friends. I'm always like, whenever anyone needs a videographer, I always tell them about you guys.
Nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So now we're going to transition into the why you do what you do. So tell us about that. Why did you get started?
You know, how I got started was sort of a weird beginning. I think the first video I ever made, I was an intern at this, I was a marketing intern down in the Twin Cities, and I honestly just ran out of things to do. And they had this event coming up, and I don't even remember why I said it, but I was like, hey, let me just make a promo video for this event. And I mean, I didn't own a camera. I don't even know if I had a very good cell phone or anything, but I ended up making them this really super cringy, I'm sure, promo video. And but I really enjoyed actually the process of it. And I still have the video somewhere. I'm just like, I refuse to watch it until like the time is right, you know. But from there, it just sort of turned into a hobby of just, you know, if I'd go out of town or go on a trip or something, I'd just make these little dumb videos and, you know, just watching other people do it on YouTube and sort of basically just taught myself while I was in college. And then one day I just saw a post on Facebook of someone was asking for a videographer for their wedding. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool or whatever. But she was like, oh, we'll pay you $250. And like at the time, you know, that was just like a ton of money. So I was just super stoked on it. So I reached out and whatever. And she ended up hiring me, even though I'd never done a wedding before. And I knew how to make videos. I guess that was all that she cared about. And it went super great. And I think for me, it just like why I do it is like, I just love to create things. And so that's always been a big part of what I get out of life, I guess, in terms of enjoyment is, you know, before a video, it was music. I'm a big musician. And so I think just the art of like creating something that didn't exist before is just sort of the thrill of starting with a blank canvas and then seeing the finished product is super awesome. So it kind of just started randomly. It wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, I'm just going to start filming weddings. It just kind of happened where there was a need for it. And then once I did one, I just threw it on a website and people sort of flocked to it. And kind of took off pretty quickly.
So is like $250 like really low for doing that? Because I think that's low. Like I would definitely like jump on that if somebody said that.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. Like I would never recommend that anyone ever take that low of money if they're starting a video, business or whatever. But I will say that if you have no experience and no portfolio in something, it's a hard ask of people to charge, an exorbitant amount if you don't have anything to show for it. So I think it was a good first step for me, but definitely 250 is like, I spent that money before I even showed up on a new lens just for that day. So
Well, that's good that you
definitely like,
invested in equipment.
yeah, definitely. So it didn't last very long, but and I knew that going in. I knew it wasn't like, I knew it was below market rate or whatever, but yeah, at the same time back then, like $250 to me, that was like, dang, that's insane. But
And it's good to have that kind of incentive to start out. I know with our little sister Mia, she has really been wanting to get into graphic design, and so Becca was like, "If you make these graphics, I'll pay you for it." And she told me, she was like, Mia told me that she was thinking it was going to be like $10, and Becca gave her like $50 for it, and she was just ecstatic. We had this family meeting the other day, and she was like, "I have an update. I got paid $50." Yeah. So.
yeah, for real.
Okay, so you had kind of mentioned that you threw up a website out there, which is an understatement because one doesn't simply just throw up a website. You have to put at least a little bit of work into it. But that sounds like kind of how you initially started getting your name out there. But tell us a little bit about how you started getting found by people.
Yeah, so I think luckily for me, at the time I was working for a sort of a web development agency. So I have a pretty strong background in like website design and stuff. So so for me, I guess throwing a website up was I guess easier than it would be if you're not familiar with creating websites. But that's basically what it was. Is I made this quick little website and I put my one wedding video up there, and basically I connected a Google Search Console thing to put ads in, and so I ran ads on Google. I think I spent like $200 on ads, and I ended up booking I think 25 weddings just from that $250 of ads that I put in.
Nice.
I booked 25 weddings for the following year. Yeah, which is insane. It was so crazy, in fact, that I just quit. Like I was working like 2 or 3 little like part-time jobs, and I quit all of them at once because I realized like I was going to be about to be insanely busy with all this. And so, yeah, in terms of like the business side of things, like, yeah, I didn't all of a sudden just decide to start a videography business. It's sort of, I feel like pretty lucky, but also I had, a decent skill set to, to show off the video, and I had the website too, which helped get my name out there. But yeah, it definitely sort of happened a lot quicker than I expected or ever thought it would. And yeah, I haven't really thought about it since then. So it's kind of funny to think that that was 3 years ago. Yeah, it's definitely, my life took a strange turn when I made that website, but it's been awesome. Like I swear I have one of the best jobs, at least for me. It's just super fulfilling, and yeah, I definitely don't regret it at all. I love what I do. So.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about you built the website, you're using Google Ads, what other platforms did you choose to advertise on right away? Or those are more primary ones, or did you have like any kind of other stuff you were doing that you started messing around with, like YouTube, Facebook, anything like that?
I might have ran a few ads on Facebook as well. But in that first year, I'm trying to think back now. I don't think 218 Visuals existed that first year. I think I was just doing it under my own name. And so I don't think I even had a Facebook or Instagram I must have had a YouTube, but I've never really tried that hard to promote my YouTube, honestly, which is kind of funny because it's a video platform. But um, yeah, I'd say like pretty much all of the business I got was running ads on Google. Um, and then ever since then, like since that, I spent that $250 or whatever, and I booked those 25 weddings, and then pretty much all my business since then has just been from referrals from those people, which is kind of a nice thing about doing like an event-based sort of wedding side of videography. Is just like there's always getting people, or there's always people getting married, I should say, um, and so the people that are at the wedding, they see the wedding video, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of just spreads on its own. But yeah, so honestly, I haven't advertised in a long time. But
Okay, so I have a question for you about something you mentioned. You said
sure.
that you
Yeah.
were doing it under your name and then you decided to transition to 218 visuals. How did you why did you make that decision and what made it more strategic for you?
That is a good question that I'm not sure I've put a lot of thought into, actually. I think part of it was wanting um, to get my name off of the videos, and sort of, I've, at least in my perspective, like I'd rather hire 218 visuals to make a video rather than Noah Penn to make a video, if that makes sense. So I think part of it was just to make it feel a little bit more professional rather than just a guy with a camera, which, it's all I am really, is just I happen to own a camera and know how to make videos. But I think having a name and a logo and sort of a more professional-ish, I should say, like appearance is, I don't know. I just felt at the time it just seemed to make sense. And um, honestly, there wasn't much thought put into it other than that. So I don't know if that's a very good answer, but
So when you first started kind of getting more into the wedding side of thing, how did you build your network for that? Did you talk to different wedding planners and things, or you've just kind of haven't had to really do that either?
yeah, honestly, yeah, like I said, so much of my business has just come from referrals from the brides and grooms that hired me in that first year. That the probably the main networking that I do is with photographers that are there on the wedding day. So because I work so closely with them on the wedding day, it's sort of it's kind of funny. It's almost like being signed at like a random partner for a group project, because we kind of show up, and a lot of times I haven't met the photographer before. So um but anyways, that's kind of the networking that I do, is just meeting them and getting to know them. And then sometimes they'll send me people that are looking for a videographer. So um but in terms of like wedding planners, I mean, I know a few, but I don't really have a working relationship with many wedding planners, or uh, florists, or even venues. I know some of the venue owners, but a lot of times they're not super involved in like picking, what you call wedding vendors, I guess, for the couple. So I've met a lot of people, but honestly, like in terms of the business side of things, it just comes down to word of mouth from the people that hire me. So
Mm. So do you have like business cards and stuff, or how people just know you because you were there and then they go check out your website?
yeah, I mean, I have business cards, but it's funny. I've probably handed out like 2 business cards in my life. Um, which is just so funny because it's so exciting when you make a business card and then you order them and you get them in the mail, and you're like, I don't know. I even have right in front of me on my desk in my office here, I have a little holder that my mom bought me for all my business cards. And it's like sometimes I look at it and I'm just like, why do I even have these? They're just I don't know, it's kind of useless. But anyways, how people see me from those weddings is mostly like the bride and groom sharing the video that I make for them on their social media. So if they don't ask the bride and groom directly, like, oh, who did your wedding video again? They can just look it up on, their Instagram or whatever and find it pretty quickly. So
Nice.
yeah, that happens all the time. And also I have, there's a bunch of Facebook groups for like wedding planning in the region in Minnesota. And so I don't know who they are because wedding vendors aren't allowed into a lot of these groups, but I have like a small army of people that have been recommending me. And I always kind of wish I knew who they were because I get all these message requests from people who are like, oh yeah, this person recommended me to you from Minnesota Brides or whatever. And it's like, man, I wish I knew who was out there like really plugging me because it happens all the time.
You mentioned that you are kind of like thrown into a group project with a different photographer every time. So, how does that normally go? And like, what would you recommend to somebody if they're going to do that? How do you be a good group project member, basically?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so most of the times that in terms of like a wedding shoot, it's the couple will hire a photographer and a videographer separately. So and usually there's so many photographers in Minnesota that it's pretty rare that I work with the same one like over and over again. It's usually a new photographer. So we work pretty closely throughout the day, getting a lot of the same shots, so like honestly a lot of the day I'm just like shoulder to shoulder with a photographer, or their second shooter or something. And which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to having like another camera person to just like, you just talk about gear if there's just like a minute of downtime or whatever. But in general, it's like, yeah, it's a really good experience, and you can really get creative too. If like, one person runs out of ideas of like different shots to get, you can just like bounce ideas off each other. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic of like two creative people like working together, so there's different levels of like, I don't know what you call like synergy or just like clicking on a creative level, but yeah, in general it's a super fun experience to be able to work with people like that. So
Yeah. So when you started out, what software did you use to begin with?
I've exclusively used Adobe products, mostly because that's just what I learned on, was Adobe Premiere for video editing. And so I haven't really tried anything else, honestly. That's not to say I wouldn't switch in the future, but yeah, Adobe Premiere is what I use.
So you had mentioned like getting to work with people and have that kind of creative energy. How do you get inspiration for what you do?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it comes down to, I think you sort of have to start looking like with your eyes as if you're the camera, if that makes sense. So a lot of it is just looking for creativity in spaces that might initially not seem that graceful or beautiful or whatever, like finding angles and just different like depth of field things to create sort of these little cinematic moments. I think that comes back to like the creativity thing of like why I do what I do is mostly I just love the process of taking, something that didn't exist, like a blank video project, and then being able to tell a story through it. So I think mostly the inspiration kind of comes from just within you and like a drive to just create something in the day. So
in your videos, you kind of have exactly what you said, like these little cinematic moments. Do you tell the people that you're taping what to do, or do they just kind of figure it out on their own?
it's a mix. It's probably I try to include as many, like, what you call candid moments, I guess, with people on a wedding shoot. But, realistically, like if you see a wedding video, you see like two people walking through the field at sunset or something. It's like, realistically, they probably wouldn't be doing that unless a photographer was telling them to do that, or a videographer. So it's a little of both. But when you're like posing people, I guess, I think a videographer is looking for a little more motion than maybe a photographer would. That's not always the case, but I try to keep things as organic and just, I don't know, even if it's just silly, of just like running or jumping or just like, spinning around or something, just trying to keep things like not super rigid, I guess. And that sort of helps for people's personalities to come out a little bit too, in a video. So it's both, yeah, to answer your question.
Yeah, I think that the next shoot you should do one where they go through a field, and then one where you videotape all the ticks all over from the field.
Yeah, for real.
Well, that's a good transition into our Gawk portion. And before we do, you guys, this is a two-part episode. We're going to get to a bunch more technical information about running a videography business in the next episode, so definitely check it out. But Noah, I am super excited because he sent us an email saying he had a great idea for a story. Actually, he didn't even know if it was great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
He's going to tell us about a secret shopper experience. And I'm so excited.
Yeah. Listen, first of all, I never said this was great. I was like, oh, I don't know. This is just something weird that happened to me that, I don't know, might fit the segment. So yeah. So basically last summer, let me go further back. Actually, in general, I'm a really slow shopper when it comes to things. Like, I'm always checking the price per ounce on things. I'm matching up ingredients, and so whatever. I'm with some friends in Target, and we're looking at it's either soaps or like mouthwash or something. And I kid you not, we were looking at whatever we were looking at. It was like 25 minutes, and I had arms full of stuff. Like, I'm carrying all these giant soaps because Target was all sold out of, their cheap little soft soap things. So I have like, my arms are full of things, and I'm just like, man, my arms are really tired. And so I was like, I'm gonna go find a basket for us, or like a cart or something. And so I leave the section, and I go hunting for a basket, and I see one like way down.
Hang on, you're carrying all this heavy stuff, and then you want to get a basket so you can carry it all, but in a concentrated with a handle.
Yes, but I understand. Like, I'm like cradling like a baby, like all this stuff in my arms, and so I was just like, yeah, I was like, enough is enough. I need a basket. So I find this basket on the other end of the store, and I'm walking back to my friends, and all of a sudden this guy pops out from like behind an aisle, like in Home Goods, like he's like hiding in the pillows or something, and he's like, he's like aggressively like accosting me, like saying that I'm like been watching him, that I'm whatever. He thought I was a secret shopper, and that I was, like undercover police or something. And that I've been harassing him for the last hour. And I didn't even know what to say. I was like, honestly, I was a little bit tilted right away. I was just like, are you serious, dude? Just because he was so aggressive about it. I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I'm just here shopping with my friends. Like, do you see all this soap that I have? And he just starts going off busy. About, yeah, it's like, I've never seen you in my life, dude. And whatever, he's just going off and off about how he's going to report me to Target management for, this profiling and all this stuff. I'm just like, go ahead, man. Like, my name's Noah. Just tell it. Like, it's like, they don't know who I am, and whatever. So I just left him there. He was still just fuming, and it was super weird. And as I'm walking back, I realized, I was like, this is not the first time it's happened to me, because
No.
I had a flashback all of a sudden. I think I just suppressed it out of my mind, but it legitimately happened to me before in high school with this lady in like Kohl's or something. And it was like the same thing. I was just taking forever looking at these, like, I think it was like sweatpants or something. And I was like looking at all these different sizes. And she did the same thing to me. She out of the blue, she just pops out and she just starts yelling at me like, "You don't have to watch me. You know, I'm not going to steal all these clothes." And I'm just like, "Look, lady, I don't know. It's for the same thing." So I don't know what the deal is, but apparently I'm like, I look suspicious to suspicious people. I don't know.
And what you have to understand is that Noah is like one of the most chill people ever. So just the thought of somebody getting in your face is just very comical to me.
Yeah, and like my reactions, I'm sure is like, I don't even know. It's just such a weird thing to have someone like accuse you of something that's like so blatantly false. It's like, how do you prove that? You know, it's just like somehow I felt like I was doing something wrong. I was like, wait, no, let me prove it. But then it's like, wait, I don't have to prove anything to you. You're obviously like insane, you know? But
Also, my only proof is this basket of soap.
yeah, it's like, look at this soap that I have. I can't be.
That's so funny.
Uh,
Okay, well, thank you guys. Thanks for being with us, Noah, this episode. We will be coming back again for more technical stuff next week. So we will see you all next week.
can't wait.